Scripture reading. All right, we're almost there. Are you ready? Are you ready for Christmas? If Christmas was tomorrow morning, are you ready?
Sure enough.
Some of you are. There are homes that are ready. They can wake up tomorrow, they can go and sit in front of the tree and exchange gifts. They're wrapped, they're ready. And there's some homes that need maybe a little work. Maybe a few more presents to be wrapped, right? That's my house. We need a few more. We need one more night to wrap some presents. There's some homes that are just like, wow, I got a lot to do between now and the 25th, and that rush, that anxiety to get it all done can really be a joy stealer instead of a source of joy, which is the season, right? Trying to meet the expectations of others and get everything ready, trying to meet your own expectations, trying to gather up all the gifts and get everything. Sometimes those things that are meant for joy end up being what? Joy stealers, right? We seem to concentrate on the wrong things this time of year at times. We seem to concentrate about the decorations. Are they just right? Do we have enough candles? What do they look like to the neighbors? Are the neighbors judging me? I hope they're not judging me. I really hope they're not judging me. But what do things look like? And do I have the right gifts? Are the people going to be happy that I bought for? Will there be joy around the Christmas tree Christmas morning? But that's not really what Christmas is all about, is it? Not really. Not really. I usually get my theology from the comics, as you know, and that great theologian, Dr. Seuss. So most of you are familiar with The Grinch That Stole Christmas. Have you ever seen it? You're familiar with the story? You know it. Most of you know it. The Grinch steals Christmas. He goes and steals all the toys and the food from the Who's of Whoville, so they have nothing when they wake up Christmas morning, hoping to steal their joy. But I'm going to read this because I can't recite it. My memory's not that good. It says, yet we are told on Christmas morn, the tall and the small sang without any presents at all. And the Grinch, with his Grinch feet, ice cold in the snow, stood puzzling and puzzling. How could it be so? It came without ribbons. It came without tags. It came without packages, boxes, or bags. And he puzzled 3 hours till his puzzler was sore. And the Grinch thought of something he hadn't before. Maybe Christmas, he thought, doesn't come from a store. Maybe Christmas, perhaps, is a whole lot more.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Who said there's no theology in comics? Right? I think that hits it on the head, doesn't it? A lot of times we look for those gifts. I mean, what? You mean joy doesn't come from the gifts? I mean, that's not what it's about. The presents? I thought it was the presents. It's not the presents. Most of us, I think, if we look back at our life and think about all the things that you had to have. Seriously, as a child. You remember those things you had to have? If you didn't have it, you would absolutely die. I can't imagine having to face the 26th of December without this in my possession. I mean, have you ever had a gift like that? Maybe you were small, but some I know some adults like that. I know some adults like that. They say, I gotta have it. I gotta have that 70-inch TV 4K. I mean, I gotta have it. I just can't imagine having to watch another football game in 720. That's ridiculous. Who watches that, right? But I mean, but in all seriousness, if you think back, and I was trying to think back, like at my own self, the things that I had to have that I really thought were so important, and yet I really can't remember them at all. Isn't that sad? The things as a child that I just thought I had to have were great Christmases, and I had some good Christmases. I'm not saying I never received a good present, but they're gone. I don't have any of them. But isn't that the way possessions are? They give us joy for a moment, or maybe two, or even a day, sometimes a week. Sometimes it only lasts till the next box is open, to be honest. I mean, let's be serious about it. They're forgotten forever. But things tend to fade, don't they? They're only as good as today, in this moment. They can never be a source of joy, not a long-term source. They can provide us some temporary happiness, perhaps. But they can never be a source of our long-term joy. They just don't have the stability. They're easily replaced. How many of you can remember, and I speak to this crowd because it's a little bit older crowd, not judgy, but you remember the record player, right? Which was replaced by the 8-track, right? And then that was barely getting settled in good, and they came up with the cassette, which was then replaced by the CD. And now what you do is you load music onto your phone and you just plug it into your radio. So you don't have a need for a radio at all. So it's ever changing, right? But when the 8-track came out, wasn't that the thing to have? I mean, everybody wanted them. You had a big old stack of 8-track tapes. Took up half your living room. Because you're going to plug that in, right? And it was so much easier when we got the cassettes because they were small. Right? But things are always changing. And it's not just the music changes, but things change, right? They have a tendency to rust and bust and plastic breaks and it goes away. Right? It's only a source of temporary because it's only waiting to be replaced by the next best thing. So things can never really be a source of our joy. It can give us some temporary happiness, but that's about as far as it goes. What are other joy stealers that you know? You know, if you don't have to stress about getting the right gift because it's only going to go away in another day or two, maybe a week. So you can get that off your list and no joy stole there. I'll just buy something. I used to work retail. There's a lot of people who just buy something. Especially on the 24th, about 10 minutes before we close. People come in and say, why don't you have this in the size? Oh, it don't matter, just give me 2 of them. I'll just take it. You know, that's the way it works. But what are other things, I'm telling you it happens. What are other things that steal your joy? I mean, how about meeting the expectations of others? Huh? How many of you try to meet the expectations of others? Right? Have you ever seen some of these decoration competitions that we have in neighborhoods?
I've been called them.
Yeah. They come up with some fantastic stuff. I mean, they really do. I mean, let's see, they got 1 candle, I need 3. I'm going to get 3 candles in my windows because they only got 1, and then we're going to get, you know, and it gets into a little bit of almost silliness, right? How many inflatables can I put in the front yard? We need to buy more land because we have more inflatables. We don't have enough space for the inflatables in our yard. And not that it doesn't look good or it's not entertaining. But keeping up with the Joneses has never been a good deal, right? It's never been a source. It's never been a source of joy, right? Keeping up with the Joneses will never make you joyful. It will only give you a big bill in December on your credit card. That's the only thing it's guaranteed to do. And it's like that year round. You'll never keep up. Why won't you be able to keep up? You think about it. Because people are fickle. People change all the time. One day they're like this. Yeah, I like this. I like this. I like this. Like this. It's always changing, isn't it? What people are like. You only have to look at the polls for the candidates. 1 week you're on top. The next week you're on the bottom. Because people just, not today. Not tomorrow. Look at football coaches. How many coaches who were heroes got let go this year or resigned? You know, at one time, they were on top of the mountain. But people's, what? They get a little fickle, right? They want change. All of a sudden, they're not a hero anymore. They're at the bottom. They're starting over. They're retiring. You can't bet on people's opinions. And you shouldn't invest in them. Right? What's that saying? Everybody's got an opinion, right? Everybody's got one. Have your own. You don't need somebody else's to be a source of your joy. Right? Everybody's got an opinion. going to be that way. It's newsflash. I don't tell the rest of the people out there. It's always going to be like that. People will always have an opinion, and they'll always be changing. Okay? And building your joy, letting that be the structure of your joy, is making somebody else happy. It's like trying to build a house on shifting sand. Is that a good idea, Jimmy? No. It's not. It's not a good idea. Because it's always changing. It's an unsteady foundation, and you'll never be happy because they're never happy. Right? And don't get me wrong. It's not that we don't value other people's opinions, because we do. We do. We're always going to value other people's opinions. And it's not that we don't have responsibilities to people. But let me tell you what you're not responsible for. You're not responsible for someone else's joy. And neither are they responsible for yours, because that comes from somewhere different. Each person is responsible for their own joy. They have to be happy with what's inside. And that comes from their relationship with Jesus Christ. But before we get there, what about the big joy stealer? What about setting expectations for ourselves that are unrealistic? Right? I got to get this done. We have a list this long. We make Santa's list look short because we have such a long list of things to do that we can never do them. Not going to happen. There's no way all this can be completed, not by a human being, and we left our Superman suit at the cleaners. It's just not going to happen. Right? We set unrealistic expectations, and then we beat ourselves up because we failed. Right? And we spend the day, oh, if I had just got my Superman suit out of the cleaners, I could have got this done. You know? We have to be realistic about the expectations we set on ourselves and the pressures that we put on ourselves. Because otherwise they'll steal our joy. We have to learn to celebrate the small victories in our lives and stop looking for defeats. Stop beating ourselves up. Because we rob ourselves of joy. Now let me give you an example. Now each week I come up here and my goal is to be able really to hit one out of the park. I mean, I want to hit a home run. I want to come up here and preach the best sermons ever been preached. I want to come up here and move you and get you into a closer relationship with God. I want to come in up here and enlighten you and let you know some insightful thing that maybe you didn't know before. That's my goal. That's my goal. Now, with that being said, me and Pam evaluate my sermon every week going home. We have an hour to kill, so we talk about it. And usually the first thing before we even hit the concrete out there or the asphalt out there, she says, how'd you think it went? I said, I don't know. I wasn't listening to it. How do you think it went? She said, well, I think it went pretty good. Well, she'll always tell me that. She goes, it went pretty good. She goes, well, how do people receive it? I said, well, I don't know. I said, I look out there and I said, I think I got to some people because, they turn and talk to each other. I'm assuming they're saying like, wow, did you know that? I didn't know that. Did you know that? I'm assuming that's what they're saying. So they have a little conversation. And some people, they nod, at the right time. Yeah, so I'm assuming they're following what I'm saying. They nod. But I'm really touched by those people who I move so much that they close their eyes to meditate about it for a long time. So I really have reached those people. Either that or they're praying that I'll be quiet. I don't know. I'm not sure which one. And I'm never really sure exactly how well it's received. But I know in conversations that at least some of you, at some point, not every Sunday, have been touched or moved or enlightened by something I've said up here. So I celebrate a small victory, you see. I celebrate that, yes, I'm not hitting a home run, but maybe I hit a single today. Or maybe I got a double, or maybe I got walked, and I'll take that too. I hit by a pitch even, I'm good with that. But if I've touched somebody, or if I feel like I've touched somebody, or moved somebody, or helped somebody, then I celebrate that. Because otherwise, if I didn't feel like I was doing that, I'd have quit this a long time ago. You see. I'd have stopped doing this a long time ago, because I would have beat myself up. Oh, today was terrible. And I have Sundays like that when I walk out there and I say, oh, today was terrible. I really did that. I truly did. I feel that's the way I feel. And I'm like, wow, that was bad. I really missed it. But usually I get a word of encouragement from someone leaving, and they'll say, well, so-and-so did say they got this. I said, it was something. So I have to celebrate the small things, right? And that's what you have to do in your life too, is my point. It's not about my sermons. It's about, that's what you have to do with your life too. You have to shoot for the stars, and when you fall short, land on the moon. And celebrate the moon. Celebrate the small things in your life. You're not always going to have big victories, but celebrate the small things. Recognize the small things in your life that you've been blessed with. Grasp those things, celebrate them, hold on to them, and let them encourage you to move forward in the days ahead. That will bring you some joy. But even that can't be your source of joy, because we can only celebrate so much. Because you see, the real celebration and joy of Christmas, the real source of our joy, is something about the Grinch got right. It's something much, much more than presents, or other people's opinions, or even opinions of ourselves. You see, our joy comes from that night a long time ago, many years ago, in a place far from here. In a stable where God became man in the form of Jesus Christ. Not in a palace, mind you. He didn't come as a king, like we would see a king in a palace with all the trim and all the benefits that would be fitting a king. And he came in a manger, a lowly, humble place. He lied in a rough manger. A feeding trough for animals was his crib. It was a humble beginning for Christ. It was a humble beginning for Emmanuel, God with us. And when you think that he came, not as a king, but as a man who would walk through life just like you and I, who would suffer the pain and the suffering, who would experience tears, who would experience joy, who would experience all the things that we experience on a daily basis. And he went through all that not because he had to, but he surely didn't have to, because he wanted to. Because he thought that much of you, of each of you. That God would come from up high in the form of man. For each of you. That should make your heart jump a little bit. That should tug at your heartstrings. That God would send his son for you. And that's what we celebrate.
Amen.
At Christmas. That's what Christmas is all about. Having a baby is a joyful time, right? I remember when my first child was born, wife was screaming. I was down there supervising the doctor. Good catch, good catch. And it's a joyful time, right? You can't get that smile off your face for weeks, It's a good time, but it's more than just about a baby being born. It's about God coming into the world. It's more than just the joy of Joseph and Mary having a new baby. It's joy to the world because a Savior has been born. Mankind now can be reconciled to God through Jesus Christ. That's something to be joyful about. That's something to be smiling about. And have a smile on your face. This time of year where you see all the Christmas specials, Rudolph, Frosty, all the classics. But Charlie Brown Christmas always has a special place in my heart. I don't know about you, but I really like that one. Charlie Brown, the director of the play, looking for the perfect tree, but my favorite scene is Linus. And Charlie Brown's like, what's Christmas all about? And I said, the spotlight goes on Linus, and he tells us, right? He tells us the same story that we read earlier today, that scripture reading. But that the CBS produced, they didn't want that in there originally. They thought having a Bible verse might be too controversial, and they didn't want that in there, but Charles Schultz insisted that it be in there. So we have that scene in there, which I think makes the show. Because it really does explain what Christmas is about. But the intriguing thing, and I don't know if you've ever noticed this about this, and if you don't, next time you watch it, or go home and YouTube it, the scene, is that when Linus is giving that speech, when he's reciting that scripture from Luke, and he's telling the Christmas story, you know, Linus was known for one thing, what? Blanket. Always holding on to that blanket, right? Always got the blanket. But in that scene, he drops his security blanket. It drops to the floor. And why shouldn't he? Because he, like us, is secure in the story. Is secure in the hope, and the faith, and the love, and the peace that it brings, that God came to save us, to reconcile us. Why shouldn't we be joyful? Why shouldn't we be full of hope? Why shouldn't peace dominate our life at this time as we remember our Lord and Savior's birth? You see, that's what Christmas is all about. That is where the source of your joy should come. That is why we sing joy to the world. And all God's people said, Amen. Our hymn of response today is O Little Town.